Great to have you guys back. Thank you for watching our messages. Thank you for being part of this channel. My name is Albert Villa and we are Mind Prosperity, and we are very excited about sharing with you guys in today's message. Before we do that, please like, please subscribe, please comment, and please share this video to other people that you believe can benefit from this. And also, I'm doing sessions on emotional intelligence in the workplace, in families, in groups, and individual sessions. So please contact me to hear more about that. We can do it all over the world because we have different social media platforms that we are using. So please contact us if you want to know more about it. So today we're going to speak about how to feed your mind. You might not know this, but your mind is always fed without you knowing it. And I'm going to explain to you why in a moment, but just remember this. Your mind is always fed without you knowing it because something always comes into your mind. And where your mind is now, your thinking and feeling of today normally comes from past experiences. Why? Because your mind has been fed in the past through experiences, through decisions, through what happened in your life in the past. Your mind has been fed, and because of that you have a certain thinking and feeling pattern that you have today, and therefore your future is determined by what you put into your mind right now, what you put into your thoughts right now, and how you feed your mind right now. Because what you think and feel today is made up of what you have put into your mind in the past. What's going to happen in your future is determined on what you put into your mind today. So this is extremely important to feed your mind right, and it's important to feed your mind well, and it's important to feed your mind enough. So we don't just want to put something in our mind, we want to do it constantly, and we want to continuously put the right thing into our minds. Okay, so how do we feed our mind? There are two things: your outer environment and your inner environment. So the first one is through your senses, and your senses is what I call the outer environment. What happens outside of my body that can feed my mind? Remember, whatever you put in your senses goes into your conscious mind, and whatever goes into your conscious mind enough and for long enough and repeatedly eventually goes into your subconscious mind, and whatever goes into your subconscious mind forms a habit. And when you form a habit, that is what you're going to keep on doing. So if you want to break a habit, you should start feeding your mind differently. So let's speak about the outer environment and how do you feed the outer environment of your mind through your senses. The first thing is you have to read. When you read certain books, when you read certain articles, when you read certain studies, it shapes your belief system in a certain way. I don't know about you, but with myself, there's a lot of people who send me things and they say, you know, you should read this, you should read this book, you should read this study. Unfortunately, most of the people who send me things these days send me negative stories, negative studies, negative findings. And by that, I'm not saying it's a bad thing to know what's going on in the world and knowing what's going on outside, but it feeds your mind in a negative way. You have to purposefully decide in your outside environment that the things that you read and the things that you consume while you are reading should be things that are feeding your mind well. So what do? I read purposefully. I purposefully go get the right books. I purposefully go get the right studies. I purposefully go get the right material, and I read on purpose. And when I say I read on purpose, that doesn't mean you have to read a book a week. Doesn't mean you have to read hours a day, but make sure through reading you feed your mind well every single day. Number two, whatever you listen to. Now, a lot of times I would, when I exercise, when I drive, I would listen to certain podcasts. On my Spotify, there are certain podcasts that I always have, because remember, when you read, it goes into your eyes. When you listen, it goes into your ears. And with technology today, we get a lot of voice notes from people. We get a lot of things that they send over social media that we can listen to. If you're listening to things that are feeding you wrong, your mind is eventually going to believe that. If you listen to things that are feeding you right, your mind is eventually going to believe that. So you have to decide beforehand, who do I want to become, where do I want to go, and watch what you put into your senses. And then who you interact with. I was sitting with somebody once, and he said to me, how can you be so young and know so much? And I said to him, because the people I hang out with makes me feel like I know nothing. The point that I'm trying to make is, I always like to hang out with people who are smarter than me, who think bigger than me, who think further than me, and who's been through some things that I haven't been through. People that are willing to teach me, people that are willing to encourage me, and people that are willing to help me. I run away from people that tries to bring me down through their words, through their actions. I run away from people who has a negative outlook on everything. And I want to say this, I run away from naysayers. What is a naysayer? They're always negative of everything you are trying to do. Now, there's a difference between somebody that's negative and somebody that's giving you good advice, that's trying to prevent you from getting hurt or something, that's different. But a naysayer, somebody that's always negative about things, that is feeding your mind very badly. And that saying is still true. Show me the 5 people you interact with the most, and I will show you where you will end up 5 years from now. Then the other thing is where you go. Places you go can either enlarge you or it can diminish you. I remember I was traveling to Canada once. I was speaking with a friend of mine about we were in different places for layovers, and I was actually complaining about the layovers. We were in different countries for layovers, and I said, I don't want these layovers, I just want to get to the destination. And he said to me, traveling and seeing different places and even being in different big airports helps you to think bigger. So some places you go, you see these magnificent places, you see these magnificent buildings, and you just think bigger. So sometimes I will purposefully go, especially me who likes to do public speaking and stuff like that. I will purposefully go to places who are big, lots of chairs, big environment to get my thinking bigger. There are places you can go to that has a very negative effect on you, that has very negative feeding in your mind. That's sometimes just the place itself. Now, I'm not saying we're sometimes not going to accidentally find ourselves in places like that, but what I am saying is purposefully go to some places that can enlarge your mindset and believe that you can achieve things. So that's the first one, through your 5 senses, or what I would call the outer environment. Then the second one is your thoughts, your inner environment. What happens on the inside of you can shape your mind. So the first thing is your imagination. They say that your body doesn't know the difference between what you imagine and what you experience with your senses. So if you imagine something strong enough, your body is going to believe it. Just last week we did a session on meditation. So if you haven't watched our session on meditation, please go watch it. It will be in the video as well, so you can just go click on the link and go watch that after this video. But your imagination, or your meditation in that sense, if we want to say it like that, is so important. People tend to think in a negative direction. People tend to imagine in a negative direction, or people tend to meditate even in a negative direction, because meditation is actually only just to think deep. But you have to purposefully decide to imagine certain things, to think about certain things, and to ponder about certain things until it comes straight into your mind. And another thing that's important with your inner environment, or the last thing that I want to focus on now when it comes to your inner environment, when it comes to feeding your mind, is your decisions. Because we always have a decision to make. When something goes into our mind, whether positive or negative, we always have a decision. Are we going to believe this, or are we going to reject it? And sometimes a negative thing comes in that is true, but then we have a decision to make, to say, how am I going to believe this? One of the things that I hate people say is they will say, I'm under the circumstances, or it's going well under the circumstances. And that's a decision. It's a decision to be under the circumstances. You cannot always decide whether the circumstances are there or not, but you can decide, am I under the circumstances, or am I above the circumstances? Will my circumstances rule me, or can I rule it? And no matter what the circumstances are, you can get to that place where you can say, listen, but I can make decisions all the time. I can decide what goes into my mind. I can decide what goes out of my mind. I can decide what am I going to put in my mind on the long term, or which things am I going to reject as soon as they come in. That is a decision. So when you understand the outer environment, the 5 senses, and the inner environment, your thoughts and your thinking, you can use these things to build a great mindset. Now, a great mind doesn't happen accidentally. It happens intentionally. So you intentionally have to go and feed your mind. Remember, just like you feed your body, if you feed your body junk, your body is going to respond in that way. If you feed your body healthy and you exercise your body is going to be like that. And your mind is the same thing. If you feed your mind well, it will be good to you. If you feed your mind bad, it's going to react to that, and you're going to have a bad mindset all the time. Now, there's a myth. A myth says simple and quick explanations are necessary for feeding or changing the mind. Changing the mind or feeding the mind is not something that's going to happen quickly or instantly or suddenly. It's something that you're going to have to do every day. It's hard work that you're going to have to do every day. But feeding your mind well is so worth it. And I want to end this session with a quote from Napoleon Hill, and this is what he said: "You either control your mind or it controls you." I want to encourage you in this video to take responsibility for your mind, to feed it well, to control it well, and if you do that, you will see your mind will be very good to you. Thank you guys so much for watching the video from Mind Prosperity. We love you, and we will see you guys soon again. Goodbye.